Hello, friends. We are going to be continuing on our lesson about being a good citizen. From the last lesson that we talked about, we were looking at facts on being a good citizen. And we are now going to look at some examples and non examples about being a good citizen. So before we get started, we're going to we'll talk about the standards really quickly. So for social science, we are going to be understanding that being a good citizen involves acting in certain ways, like following the rules. And with that, we're looking at sharing and taking turns and know that these consequences of breaking these such rules. And for the ELA standard, with the guidance and support from me, you guys will be able to recall information from the experiences or even gather information provided from sources to answer questions. Now, we're just going to review a couple of vocabulary words before we move forward. So, citizen is a member of a community. Everyone here in my classroom is a citizen. You are part of this community. You are a member of this classroom. Responsibility is when you're making good choices, and we need to be able to make those good choices and be able to follow directions and listen to directions. Respect is when you're accepting somebody for who they are, even when they are different from you or you don't agree with them. And respect is very, very important because not everyone's going to think like you. Not everyone is going to be like you. And that's okay because we're all different, we're all unique, and we all need to respect our choices, our opinions. Okay? So caring is when you're showing that you care for someone and that you're being helpful to them. Sharing is when you let someone else use something, right? That is yours, and you have to be able to, share something. So, for example, when I do not have a lot of crayons, it is your responsibility to share between your table group, your partners, because that way you guys are able to use my materials effectively. Now we're going to go over, we're going to review last week, what can a citizen do? Okay.
What Can a Citizen Do? By Dave Eggers and Sean Harris. What in the world can a citizen do? Who can a citizen be? A citizen is just like you. A citizen can plant a tree. A citizen can help a neighbor. A citizen can join a class. A citizen can write a letter. A citizen can help change laws. A citizen can right a wrong. A citizen can turn things around. A citizen can get things right side that have been upside down. A citizen should be engaged. A citizen should care and care. A citizen should build things, save things. A citizen can be a bear. Yes, a citizen can be a bear. A citizen can be a kid. A citizen can wear pink pants. A citizen cannot stay hid. A citizen's not what you are. A citizen is what you do. A citizen cannot forget the world is more than you. We're part of a society, one full of joy and pain. A lot of latticed people, none of us the same. And if we help just one, help one lonely soul, we open doors, we bring light, we bind us up and make us whole. So forget yourself a second, grab a shovel or a pen. do something for another. Don't you dare doubt that you can. Everything makes an impact on a bigger big than you. And it all starts with a question.
Okay, so now we have a better understanding of what we just read, right? Just a quick refresher of what we read last lesson. So now we are going to be going over what is being a good citizen. Well, according to the dictionary, being a good citizen means a member of a community, school, or household that has rights and responsibilities to follow the rules. So being a good citizen means being responsible and respectful. So it is very important when we be a good citizen that we have um, rights and responsibilities to follow the rules, making sure that we help others, and also making sure that we look out after ourselves. Okay. Okay, so let's begin by going over some examples of being a good citizen. Our first example here is a teacher. So, me, a teacher, right? A teacher is a good citizen because we care to help for others, right? We are leaders for you and we are caring. So, this is a good example, right? That a teacher is able to do these things, helping others, being that leader for you and being making sure that we're there to care for you, right? And we're there to guide you. Another good example would be a police officer because a police officer is a good citizen because they keep us safe, they help the community and they do not harm others. The police officer or officers, they are there to make sure that when we are in danger, they are there to help us. They are there to make sure that wherever we are at, that they are there to protect us and protect our community when we are in danger. A doctor is another good example of a good citizen because they take care of us when we are sick. They also give us medicine when we are sick. And most especially, they give us band aids when we get hurt. Doctors are there to make sure that we are healthy, that we are able to um, that we're safe, and that they make sure that they give us medicine to make sure that we don't get sick again. Another good example is a nurse. A nurse is a good example of being a good citizen because they make sure to check our temperature to see if we are okay, if we have a fever or not. That's very important, and also checking to see how much we have grown in the past year because we're growing every single day, and also giving us band-aids when we get injured too. That's very important too. So that is their job, that is their responsibility of making sure that we get taken care of. And our last example here is an astronaut. So an astronaut is a good citizen because they can discover outer space, they launch satellites so they can take pictures of the earth, not only of the earth, but they can take pictures of the moon and other things outside of outer space. And they can drive robots to discover new things. So having this kind of example, astronauts are able to give us more information about what's outside of the earth because we can't go outside of the earth. Astronauts are the ones that can give us that kind of information for us, and it's really cool because we get to see the planets, we get to see galaxies, and we get to see like asteroids and all cool things outside in outer space. Now we're going to move on to non-examples. So I just explained a little bit of what are some good examples of being a good citizen. Okay, now we're going to move on to some non-examples of being a good citizen. So first, cheating on a test is not being a good citizen. Why? Well, first, cheating causes us when we don't study for a test, right? We cheat when we don't study for a test. We don't feel prepared, right? And also, we're not being honest to ourselves. And we're not being responsible either. So, cheating on a test is not being a good citizen. Fighting with another student is another non example of being a good citizen because fighting just doesn't end well. Okay, it doesn't take you anywhere. We need to respect each other. We need to control our emotions. And you're also disrupting the safety of others. When fights happen, it can be very chaotic. It can be very stressful and that's not being a good citizen. We want to be safe. We want you guys to be able to get along with each other, be respectful towards each other. Another non-example is running a red light. That is not being a good citizen because you are breaking the law. You can get into a really bad accident and can cause a distraction for other drivers. So if you pass a red light and if you don't see anything, you will not make it. It's not okay. You need to be safe and you need to be able to understand that you need to follow the law and not break it. Another non example is throwing trash on the floor. So, as you can see in the picture right here, you can see a student throwing trash on the floor. That's not okay. You're not being a good citizen here because one, he can hurt somebody with the trash that's on the floor right there. They are making the environment dirty and they're harming animals because animals are hungry and they want to look for something to eat. And instead of looking for food, they see trash. And with that, they can get sick. And that's not being a good, responsible citizen. Another non example is never cleaning up. Well, that's not a good example. That's not being a good citizen either because it can be dangerous walking over things on the floor, not being able to see what's on the floor, right? You don't even pay attention. Another thing is hurting ourselves, not only ourselves, but others, and not thinking about other safety. If we see things on the floor without noticing and without picking it up, it can lead for us to get injured, to hurt ourselves and potentially slip and fall. Now, since we talked about a little bit more of non-examples, we're gonna now practice and see if we remember what things are good examples of being a good citizen and some non-examples of not being a good citizen. So as you can see here, there is a firefighter helping out others. So is this an example of being a good citizen? Yeah, it is. It is a good citizen because they keep our community safe when we are in danger, right? And they are the ones responsible of keeping us safe. So here is a kid not doing their chores. Is this an example of being a good citizen? It is not a good citizen because they're not being responsible for helping around the house. And it's important for them to be able to help around at home, and not only at home but at school too, and out in the community, making sure to clean up after ourselves and helping others as well. So here is a veterinarian taking care of animals. Is this an example of being a good citizen? It is a good example because this veterinarian is making sure that all the animals are healthy and safe. So, whenever your pet is not feeling well, you make sure to take them to the vet, and the vet is more than happy to make sure that your pet is healthy. Making sure that they are okay and they don't get sick. Another example here is a robber who steals things. Is this an example of being a good citizen? No, it's not a good citizen because they take things that do not belong to them. And that is not okay. Taking things that are not yours at all. We should never take things without asking for permission to see if we can have it or not. And our last example here is you see a dentist here taking care of our teeth. Is this an example of being a good citizen? Yes, it is a good citizen because they make sure that our teeth stay clean and they help our teeth stay nice and healthy. So, our dentist here always makes sure that we have beautiful teeth and making sure that our teeth are nice, bright, and shiny white. Okay. Now that we've gone over some examples and non examples about being a good citizen, I want you to take out your social studies journal and we are going to be writing some examples about being a good citizen. Okay, so I'm going to show you a page about what your journal should look like, right? As you can see, I did 2 sentences, okay? And I did 2 pictures to that represent both of these sentences. So the first one says, "My mom and I clean up the dishes." And this is an example of being a good citizen because it is important for me to be responsible and help out my mom put away the dishes, right? And then here's another sentence. "The little boy is not listening." This is an example of not being a good citizen, right? Because this boy is not listening at all. He's just doing his own thing and not listening to the adult telling him to stop what he's doing. Okay. So I'm going to give you guys a couple minutes to think of some examples. Okay. And I'm going to give you guys about 10 minutes to do so. Okay, my friends. So now we're gonna go over some examples that you guys wrote about. Okay, all right. So I love all of your examples. They were really good, very um, great. I love that. Now before going to recess, I'm going to have you guys do, I'm going to give you guys some homework. So, we talked about some non examples and examples of being a good citizen. Now, it is your job now to give me one example of being a good citizen and a non-example of not being a good citizen. So I'm going to show you here my example here. I'm going to give you guys the paper so you guys can do that, right? As you can see right here, the first sentence says, "I can water my plant." That is an example of being a good citizen. I'm being responsible of taking care of my plant because if I don't take care of my plant, it's not going to grow and it's going to die. That's not being responsible. So I want to be responsible of taking care of my plant by watering it. And there's a little picture right here that explains my sentence right here. And here's another example right here of a non-example of not being a good citizen. It says, "The girl hit the boy in the face." That is a non-example of being a good citizen because she was not being respectful, she was not caring, she was not being nice to her friend. So, and there's a picture right there that shows for this sentence right here. Okay? So something to remember, my friends, is that when we are writing our sentences, to always make sure to capitalize the first letter in our sentence, right? And we also finger space in between so I can be able to read your sentence. I don't want it all close together because it's going to be very difficult to read. Okay? And to also end your sentences in punctuation, okay? I'm going to give you guys till Monday to return that back to me. Okay. All right. So before we go now, I want to go over what we learned about, right? We talked about some examples and non-examples of being a good citizen. So some good examples of being a good citizen is being good listeners, being able to look out after each other, picking up trash, you know? And some non-examples is hitting our friends, fighting our friends, not listening, right? Misbehaving. So I really hope you guys are now experts now on being able to identify between examples and non-examples of being a good citizen. Okay. All right, bye guys.